After the break, we are back to start with a new panel, a next panel, and the discussion this time is major challenges in the Middle East faces. The panel is on planning, policies, automation, and skills. To moderate this panel, I'd like to call to the stage Mr. Don Shonhasi. He's a Senior VP, Group Data Governance, Exinity. I got that right? Okay. Calling Mr. Don to the stage. Let's have a nice round of applause. Also joining Don on stage is Mr. Ronald Powell. He is Director Cloud and Infrastructure Solutions in Injazat. Please a round of applause for Mr. Ronald, please. Come forward, Mr. Ronald. Along with Mr. Ronald and Don on stage will be Arun Tewary. He's the CIO Alpine Group. Round of applause for Mr. Arun, please, everybody. Yes, all in attendance. Come on, make your presence felt, guys. Yes, Mr. Yahyah Pandor, Chief Information Officer, Chief Information and Digital Officer, Fine Hygienic Holding, FHH. Please clap for Mr. Yahyah over here. Only one person clapping. Come on, let's have some more claps there for Yahyah. Yeah. And final on this panel, but not the least, is Mr. Vijay Jain. He is Head IT of Dulsco. Let's clap for Mr. Vijay. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance and all those yet to come in, please. The topic today for this panel is planning, policies, automation, and skills. Give this over to Don. Please check your microphones, gentlemen. Make sure they're all active. Yes.
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, well, I think we can see we got a graveyard shift. full house. So my name is Donald Shaughnessy. I'll just give you a small background about myself. I've been in the region within 6 years now, primarily Dubai, a little bit in Abu Dhabi. Okay. My background is legal risk, compliance, and governance, dealing with finance, technology, tourism. I've worked with some of the biggest names here, including the government. And yeah, now we're here for the panel discussion on policies, automation, skills. Why this is so important here, as you've seen throughout the day, is Dubai and the UAE as a whole is really on an initiative to drive more commercial and economic development and growth. With that, you bring more businesses. With that, you bring more information. With that, you bring more data. Where does that data have to go? Then, when the changing ecosystem is the world, there's additional requirements and regulatory requirements as well, which discover where you can actually do with that data, where you can place that data. So that's why this is so important when you're thinking about planning, policies, automation, and skills. So right now, I would like to give the panelists some time just to give a brief introduction of themselves.
Thank you. My name is Ronald Powell. Was originally in Injazat as of yesterday. I'm sure you've all seen on social media in the last 24 hours. One of the biggest mergers happened yesterday in G42 with G42 Cloud, Injazat, and Inception merged as one company now called Core 42. So that's the company I'm working for now. Apparently. So I'm heading up the cloud and infrastructure go-to-market offerings for Core 42. Been in the region for about 15 years, been in IT for close to 30 years, been predominantly working in the Middle East region most of my career, and been working, I say, on both sides of the fence, both from a customer side, system integrator, master system integrator, and vendor side. Worked in Microsoft for 8.5 years. And for my sins, now working again as a big partner with Microsoft, with Core 42. So that's me, very short and sweet.
Thank you.
Hopefully by the time this panel gets over, his company name would change again. So let's see what happens. My name, as you can see there, with a different tie, is Arun Tewary. And currently I'm working with a garment manufacturing organization, Alpine Creations. I have been here in Dubai for 25 years. I worked with Emirates, I worked with Al Futtaim, I worked with Emaar. So 25 years in Dubai, and in the IT profession last 40 years. Yeah, so he said 30 or 20, 40, okay. So, and I have been the CIO of different organizations, and I don't remember I ever entered a data center, probably only once in my life. And then my last organization, my mission and agenda was that in next 3 years, whatever data center is there on premise, I have to get that demolished and send it upstairs. And but I'm sitting here going to talk about the data center and related things, sitting in the midst of all these veterans. So let's see, and I'll need your support because these guys are veterans. I know nothing about data center.
Looking forward to the input.
Yeah, and I do write poetry also, and that also in the assembly language. I don't know any one of you have done assembly language. So that was some 45 years back. So it's an interesting combination. That was a short introduction, Mr. Moderator.
Just making sure we move on.
Bloody hell, how do I top that? I'm Yahyah. As you can tell from my accent, I'm British. Don't throw anything at me for that. I spent many years at Oracle and Capgemini and stuff. But today I work for a very large company which every single person in this room has used today. So I work for Fine Hygienic, who supply the tissues to the Hilton brand. And if you've used a bathroom, you've probably used our products as well. So, that's who I work for. We work across many geographies. We sell many paper-based products and wellness products. And that's what I do. I look after their IT operations and their digital infrastructure. And I don't do poetry.
Hi everyone, I'm Vijay Jain. I'm the head of IT for Dulsco. I've been in the IT industry for over 25 years, and I joined Dulsco about 2 years back. And this is a photograph when I joined Dulsco, and as you can see, I had a lot more hair at that time. So about Dulsco, this is one of the oldest companies in UAE. It was set up in 1935. So yeah, so if you're doing calculations in your mind, you got it right. It's an 88-year-old company, which was set up to supply blue-collar workforce in UAE. And then over the years, it has diversified its portfolio. And today, there's a huge focus in supplying workforce for the technology sector and we have seen an increasing demand of resources for the data center space. So that's why I'm here to share my insights. Thank you.
Perfect. Now the introductions are done. We'll finally move on to the actual panel discussion. So I'll start off with the first question. Does the Middle East suffer from a data skills shortage? In which skill set? What are the practical consequences of such a skill shortage? Whoever would like to pick it up.
Okay, I can take this. So, yeah, I think there is definitely a shortage, for the skills in the data center space. And it's mainly because of the increasing demand that we have, in this sector. The shortage is almost in the entire, spectrum of technology, whether it is the data center operations or cybersecurity, or networking, or data analytics, big data, computing. So it's entire technology sector. There is a shortage of skilled resources. And in terms of the impact, I think it has a huge impact, if this gap is not addressed. And it has a cascading impact as well. So in the short term, it impacts the customers because it increases the downtime, for example, and there are cyber threats and the data is not secure. So it impacts the customers. And then also from the medium to long-term perspective, it also affects their confidence in having their data in the local data center. So that's the impact it has on the customer. And also, I think it impacts the nation as well, because in the morning we talked about Dubai having, or UAE having its vision to be the hub for the Middle East region. So it impacts that vision because consumers will not have the confidence and they will start looking to migrate their data out of the country and probably to the global data center. And in turn, it also impacts the economy because when the demand reduces, the government would need to fund more to support the infrastructure. And of course, the reputational impact as well, if there is a cyber attack or something, so that also affects the reputation of the country. So I think it's a huge impact if this skill shortage is not addressed.
So yeah, I've got a very interesting analogy of this. I've been playing in the data center space for most of my career, seen it go through different troughs of its infancy. And the interesting thing now is, if you look at the young generation, they don't know what a data center is, right? They're looking at the mobile phones, they're looking at the end user devices, and they think it just needs to happen, needs to just be there. Why do I need to be involved in the data center? That's hardcore stuff. I don't want to go and work in a data center. I mean, what is that? And also on that is, there's been I think a little bit of a misperception that over 15 years ago, when there was the term, when Microsoft first came out saying cloud first, that data center is dead. Everyone's going to go to the hyperscalers, data center's over, you might as well start shutting down your data center. That was, I think, was believed for about 10 years. But then after 10 years, for the first time, I say for the last 2 years, and I hear it now almost on a daily basis, and I'm also hearing from the hyperscalers that are saying that we made a mistake. This is now the most needed time for data centers. And I was listening to a lot of the conversations that were being discussed here today about the misperception or the forgottenness about the connectivity. You cannot get access to data or artificial intelligence without a backbone. What is a backbone? A backbone is everything that connects the data center. And we've got this new term that's been floating for a while, data's the new oil, right? It's our old term, but actually that is going to drive the consumption of the new data center. AI, even more so. We in Core 42 are going to be building the largest AI computer in the world, which requires massive amounts of compute. Now, you can imagine that what are the rest of the world's going to do? AI, yes, it's going to change a lot of things, but it's going to require a lot of more skills, a lot more different types of personas that need to be created that's not being communicated to students or university people to say, guys, in order for us to really generate what the new generation data center is going to do, these are the type of skill sets we need to have to help us co-create, co-develop, and co-build together what the new generation data center is going to require. So no one's talking about it. And I think that's a very sad thing.
Yeah, no, it's a very crucial point because there's increasing technologies like zero-knowledge machine learning. It's a very, very interesting concept. It's there, you can look it up. I'm not going to go into it right now, but that requires huge, huge processing power. And that's just completely underemphasized. That requires massive, massive power, and it could take off, could be the next AI. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, and it can't all be in the hyperscaler.
Exactly.
And that's a fact. The hyperscalers are saying it themselves. They're saying they require the edge. This is where AI is going to do all its magic, right? So they need to be able to connect or intermesh. They're talking about the connected mesh of all these data centers connecting with one another. So that is going to require a significant amount of skill sets to be able to connect that complexity, right, of hybrid multi-clouds. It's not an easy task. I mean, in the old days when you used to go and connect a MPLS link and all those things, it was basic. Now you're talking about transit gateways, centralized landing zones to all hybrid multi-clouds. This is not as simple as what it sounds.
Very true, but we'll move on. Or else we'll be discussing just this one topic for a while. So for the next point, Who can redress the shortage? How much of support does the region require from the government, policymakers, the education system, and the industry overall, including individual operators?
Yeah, so I can maybe start. So I think it requires action from all the stakeholders. If you look at it, right from the government, where we need to have maybe more funding to address the skill shortage in certain areas. Also, some policies, to maybe attract and retain, the best talent in those areas within the country. Also, the whole education system probably needs to focus on that as well, wherein we could have, the curriculum amended and focusing more, on these areas for the people graduating from the universities. The training institutes, for example, providing the practical skills in those areas, and the certification as well to validate the knowledge as well as, the practical skills. And also, I think the industries need to come together, to address and then handle this challenge which is there, because in the morning people talk about competitiveness, amongst the industries, and I think that needs to change, and it needs to become more collaborative efforts to utilize the resources that are available, in these sectors. And last but not the least, I think every individual which is there, which is highly skilled in these areas, they need to realize that they need to continuously enhance their skills, because they are skilled today, they may not be skilled 1 week from now, because technology is changing so fast. So they need to continuously enhance their skills and also be part of the global knowledge sharing community to be able to keep abreast of the technology changes.
Anyone else?
Actually, I will look at it with a bit of different perspective. It's a situation of balancing the ecosystem. From my position of, say, being senior industry professional, CIOs and those type of roles, if I look at the team or the youngsters, what is more promising for them career-wise? It's application development or database administration, cloud development, those type of things. More glamour, higher salary, more security on the job. Whereas the data center people, no offense meant to anybody, data center people have been historically seen as sort of the guys taking care of operations, different shifts, and with absolutely no vision in the sense that what's going to be the future. Very, very slow-paced career path. And on top of that, this move, which he mentioned, Microsoft's cloud first, and all these technical terms started coming 15, 20 years back, cloud and all those. So as far as our vision is concerned, in my visibility, data centers were going away. Okay, it was going somewhere, which is not seen to me. So Google and Microsoft and all those guys are building data centers somewhere in the... But that's not seen as much as our data centers. That started creating an imbalance. And plus, the academic syllabus, if you look at that, and I can talk more in the context of Indian curriculum and those type of things, there wasn't any focus on this segment. So it's important, if we are looking for a sustained solution, to involve academic sector, involve industries, create more awareness. Still, I remember my first encounter to data center, the example which he was giving, it was a mainframe Burroughs 6800 back in Tata Jamshedpur. The data center was like a NASA research center, dark. You can't go inside, take out your shoes, as if I'm going inside ICU, and I'll have to fill up half a dozen forms. Otherwise also I had no interest to go inside the data center. And the power which was there in all those big racks was not even half of what I am carrying now in my pocket. From there to today, there's absolutely no, that has been the downfall, if I may use that term, but we didn't keep the balance with academic sector, the industry sectors. So I would see it as more as a technical, social, that type of factor. We need to create. Now I was seeing some organizations, they have got into some tie-up with academic institutions. At least I heard about this in Nanyang, Singapore, that university. NUS, NTU, UK, there's another. So there's a tie-up with industries of these institutes. So they are funding and another set of courses coming and those type of things. So this thing has to be seen in a wider perspective. You rightly mentioned industries, academic sectors, professionals like us. I would never talk to my daughter thinking about taking a career in data center, because I think she's much better off doing a business analyst, data scientist, AI, all these high sounding. Compared to that, I'll say data center, what is that? I'm better off as a data scientist, AI, those type of things. So it needs to be seen in a non-technical manner.
You're making us all feel really good here. But just one of the things I'd like to bring it back to as well and to discuss, because it is a very important issue as well, is around the government, the policies that are being put in place, the regulations coming out around it. So just, if someone wants to talk a little bit around the regulations, policies, not just here locally, but what's coming globally and putting pressure here locally as well.
Yeah, so we've got the TRA, which is the Telecoms Regulatory Authority. And now what we're starting to see a lot more now is the National Security Council, Dr. Kuwaiti, putting a lot of pressure on governments, as we're seeing lately. And now the signing with Core 42 with Microsoft to be the sole partner for data sovereignty in the country. And what will that mean to the country? And it's not just about putting the advanced controls on the hyperscaler, it's actually going beyond the hyperscaler. It's actually also creating the air gaps of data sovereignty in the country that is going to play out on a role. And what does that mean for data centers? It's going to change a lot of things. You're seeing a lot of new laws coming from the central bank that is enforcing on the entire industry. Saudi Arabia went through it recently. Dubai, the UAE are going to go through a lot of it. So you're going to see a lot of new data privacy laws, a lot of restrictions coming on specifically because of now the tax implementations. VAT came in. You're going to start seeing individual taxes coming in the next couple of years. And as well, when you start to attract businesses and startup companies around the world, it also generates a different breed of people that you need to control, right? You are attracting people, but you're also attracting a lot of bad people. So the UAE and the region is known for being the highest attacked for cybersecurity, right, in the world. So this is going to cause a lot of pressure on this region, which will require a lot more skills and understanding how to deal with this, right? It's going to overflow into the data centers.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The policies and looking at the people, the drive, all the cultures now coming in, all the different social economics, the policies, the corporations, and how that affects the overall region is an ever-growing issue and concern, and something that needs to be looked at from another point. But now, let's go into another topic for automation. So what trends in automation and technology adoption are you seeing in data centers across the region? And how do they impact organizational efficiency and resilience?
So I'm not as clever as some of these people here. To be honest with you, on data centers and cables and stuff. My job is to make sure that we keep the business operational. How they do that in the data center is genius, in my opinion, and I mean that with respect, because when something happens at my work, my job is to keep the business going. What we are seeing, though, is huge demands on our data. To link it back to the subject, people want to do more with the data. And like the gentleman said, everyone wants to do data science, everyone wants to do data analysis, everyone wants to do the sexy stuff. And that puts a load on my costs, if I'm honest. In my position, it's not about the technical stuff, it's about presenting to the board that these are the costs. Now the problem is the more that people use the data that we provide, the more the big vendors or the hardware vendors charge us, which means my operational expenditure is actually creeping up every year on year and year due to the demand from the data centers and the people that want to use it. So, I'm seeing artificial intelligence, data analysis. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but everyone talks about AI, but actually, let's be honest, like the gentleman said, in my world, it's about business analysis and data analysis. AI will come, but when that comes, that's a whole different story on when the vendors come say, hey, Mr. Yahyah, you want to do this AI project? This is going to cost you X, Y, and Z going forward. So hopefully that answers your question, but from my perspective, it's more demand on data analysis, but that comes at a cost for me.
Yeah, so automation isn't just automation.
No, in my shoes, everybody wants to do automation. If we have a manufacturing business, people want to make these tissues quicker. That's fantastic, but that comes at a cost. There's an IT cost to doing that. So that's what sometimes vendors or people who may not be as commercially acumen don't see that. This isn't about technology, there's a cost of doing that.
Yeah, no, agreed. That is something that seems to really, really escape people. The automation, you might be automating one thing, but you could be increasing your costs or increasing other charges or deliverables or delays. How long will it take? Can it actually do what you think it can do? These are all ongoing issues at the moment. Does anyone else want to spread any light on that topic for automation, or will I move on to another?
Yeah, I can add some more flavor there. So, automation I think is underestimated, very much so. So I'm actually seeing a major, I would say, reboot in the data center space when it comes to automation, orchestration, where disaster recoveries are becoming a lot more a requirement now. I couldn't believe for many years here in the Middle East, no one wanted DR. Now all of a sudden, DR is like on everyone's topic.
It's one of the first things I check. Yeah. If everything goes down, can we put it back up?
Yeah. But it was never really a need. Right? So it was, it will never happen in the Middle East. So it was stable. Why would we need a DR? And now it's changing, right? So what does that mean? That means you've got more complexity, which you can't throw people at it. So you will need to bring in automation. You will need to bring in the likes of AI technology, which has actually been in the data center space for a long time. Actually, people just are not aware of it. But how do we make data center sexy? How do we bring the AI into the world? Call it a data center scientist, right? Because actually that is what data centers are now. If you look at some of the cool technology that's actually starting to come in, where you actually can bring in the metaverse into the data center. I can augment my data center. I can augment my predictive maintenance through an augmented experience of where my data resides within a data center. So that brings a completely different experience as to just knowing that it's a data center it's in a closed dark room, right? People want to see that. They want to experience that and where their data is. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie with, what's his name, Top Gun guy? Tom Cruise. There was a movie where he was in, and he was sort of shifting through the data. Yeah. He was shifting through the data and stuff, And it's actually that technology is available, but it's never been accessible to anybody. And we've never really exposed it. And if we can tap into that and really expose that to the industry in a better way, to make it more sexy, and to show where the value can come, I think it'll change the perception.
So what we're saying is from Iron Man, Jarvis could actually happen.
What about robotics and all those? Are you seeing some usage of that? Robots doing something?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
So, yeah, no, absolutely. So I worked on a very interesting project for BMW Global with Microsoft about 4 years ago. They wanted to monetize their entire manufacturing plant. And they thought of an idea of saying, well, can we actually develop a car standing still without it going through a manufacturing line? So why can't I just keep the vehicle in one place and robots come and just bring the parts? This is exactly the same thing in data centers. And robotics coming into the data center world is going to be a reality, right? It's going to be no more of that old school guy stuck in a dark room who's just going to plug in cables and stuff. Absolutely, I see a huge shift coming. I don't want to be a predictor, but I do see something changing drastically in that space where it's going to become more robotic, it's going to become more automated. Yes, AI is going to become more prevalent inside of the data center. Because why? Purely because of the imbalance, right? Because nobody really wants to do it, but we need to fulfill that gap.
yeah.
So technology is going to fulfill it, but it still needs some sort of human hybrid.
Yeah, it is the next step, effectively, that is happening. It's all the money being put behind it as well. So it is the next natural step of evolution for it. But to just keep the conversation moving, I'll go on to the next point. What are the key factors influencing the planning and location decisions for new data centers in this region? And how will they impact the region's economic development?
So I think one factor is the regulations around data residency, so which decide basically, whether to use a data center within the country or a global data center. And in many cases, it is the technical constraints as well, which kind of, are the reason behind, deciding which data center to use. So these are, I think, the couple of reasons basically which drive the decisions around the data centers decision.
So I think working in this region for some time now, there's still a restriction between where you operate in the different states within UAE. If you're a company working in Dubai, you don't necessarily want to put your data in a company that's hosted in Abu Dhabi, or vice versa. There's still that split. It's still very prevalent. In such a small country, you would not think that this is possible, but it's actually a reality. So there's a lot of pressure from a political standpoint that you need to place yourself in the spaces where it is politically influenced, right? And specifically where they are regulated in some sense by the Dubai authorities or the Abu Dhabi authorities, and each of them are going to be in competition with each other still for a very long time. I think
this is very much happening at the moment with different laws and regulations coming up at the moment from information being hosted in certain jurisdictions, even very, very local. Yeah, but it's very, very pressing topic, and can that be lobbied? Is it the right decision? Is it too quick to make it? That's something that will have to just be decided as well by the bigger organizations and by people actually coming into the industry. Is that where they want to work? Is that how they want to work? But then to the final point and final question before we move on for any questions. In your opinion, what steps should organizations take today to prepare for a more skilled and able workforce for the future of data centers in this region? So for this, I'd like everyone to kind of give their 2 cents of what you actually think of that for organizations to get ready for this. Yeah.
We can start in any order. You want to?
It's up to yourself, flip a coin.
It's very difficult for me to restrict in 2 sentences, and I'm very infamous for that. But I will try.
I believe you.
I would see from the organization side, if we get into a culture of cross-skilling, whereby we start rotating people from one function to another, supported by adequate training, job guarantee, keeping the salary without any sort of parity, at everybody at same level. So one is the local one, cross-skilling, and then tying up with the academic institutions and redefining the roles and curriculum and all those. It will start generating a sense of awareness also, as it has been in case of cyber security, IT security. There's a lot of awareness in the organization, but similar one, we need to carry out this. So basically, it's very resource-centric. It was slightly more than 2 sentences, but it's okay.
Famous for 2 cents. That's about 5 cents.
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, I think it's first we need to acknowledge that there is a shortage of certain skills in this sector, and then the impact it's going to have, and then collaborative effort from government, education institutes, and the industry to address this problem. I think that's how it can be addressed.
The university tie-ups in this region is very, very important. We have a lot of US-based, UK, I'm not saying they're better or worse, don't get into that discussion, but there's a lot of international universities here. It should start from there with the young students. I think the other thing, and this is a completely different topic, there are people with skills in the region. The problem is as CIO, I don't know where to go get them. And that, for me, is a big challenge on recruitment of these people. They're on LinkedIn, they're on different job boards, and there's something missing where these guys need to go centrally to look at these jobs.
Agreed.
Yeah, so just on that one, I've experienced that quite a lot, and I've been involved in a lot of operating model designs. And I would say almost every single organization I've been in and I've been across in doing advisory services on is visibility. Almost every single company has no visibility of their capabilities, their skills, and what their people can actually do or can't do. Is a problem. So I think by companies first starting to look at their own shop and having more clarity as to where they are and understanding where they need to go is a first step. I think people are afraid. When I open up that subject, people are too scared to be told there's a gap.
It's like being exposed. Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't know, you don't want to admit you don't know.
Yeah. So I'm currently going through this exactly same program in our organization where I need to relook at, are we ready for the next big thing as an organization and where we need to go. And when you start talking to people, it feels like people are, you're interrogating them and that they'll lose their jobs if they tell you that they don't have the skill or they haven't closed the gap. Yeah. Because they're trying to keep themselves, let's say, in a job. And they perceive it in the incorrect way. Yeah. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is we don't like to ask for help. No. We got hungry university students, amazing universities actually here in the UAE, that nobody taps into. Nobody wants to talk to them. Nobody is willing to even start up an initiative, student induction. Come in for a few days, learn a couple things about the role, I don't see
because one of the things we used to do in one of the corporations I was with out here was we had internships and programs for that. For them to come in, you do an internship, you're 3 months here, you're 3 months in another department. You figure out, even if you're coming from an IT background, you go through analytics, you go towards the back office, you go through infrastructure, you go through networking, you figure out what actually excites you, because what you think might excite you doesn't excite them. Yeah, so it's nice to put them on the right path early. Yeah.
So we've actually, myself and the CTO, we've started to change, well, trying to shift the cultural change in our organization. And we've partnered with some of the local universities, and we're trying to build together an Emirati excitement, right, on local nationals who are in the IT organization but don't know what to do with it. Right? They need a place to start, and they need to have an experience of, they've done all the stuff in the house, in university, but is it something in reality? And we've now started small little pockets of initiatives. We've just hired 16 Emiratis, and we've taken them through a big AI training program, and we want to hire another 16 Emiratis, and we want to start exposing these students to this space, but we can't do it alone. We need other organizations to be part of that and to create excitement for the local students, and I'd like to see that more, actually.
Yeah, again, that's something that feels like a next natural step that will be pushed out for the organizations within the region to actually do, and driven whether through some type of incentive from the government or what may be. But for myself, I look through it as a more commercial in-house approach of making sure that the C-suite, the executives, are data literate. That when you're actually talking to them about this, that they understand what is the need for this. Not just the CTO, CIO, CISO, like nothing like this, also the CEO, the CFO, the COO, to make sure they actually understand why this is so important. Are you trusting your information? Why can't you trust it? Why do you need more data storage? Should it be here? Is it a better place where it is? Are you looking at the entire group organizational structure, if you're decentralized or centralized? And just really explain to them so that when you need to approach for them for the buy-in, they already understand what you're talking to them about in non-technical jargon, just making it really clear, like I'm explaining it to a group of 15-year-olds. Because I've said 5-year-olds before and they didn't like that. But right now, I'd like to open it up to the floor if you have any questions.
We start with this one first here. I'll come to you, sir.
That's because he's closer.
Thank you so much. Again, an insightful session. Yeah. So I consider myself as a trainer. Yeah. And perhaps more of my question is more of making sure that somehow I can influence the next generation in their trajectory, own profession. I suppose the question is more of related to investment initiatives that from what Mr. Yahyah said earlier, working with Fine, the only similarity I can see about tissue and cloud is the color. But I suppose in terms of an investment initiative from your respective organizations, just to add on what Mr. Ronald had said earlier, what is there forthcoming from your respective organization that we can influence the upskilling of next professionals, the current professionals that we have, or alternatively the next generation? Is there anything that we can sort of see from the next perhaps years or couple of years? Yeah.
You go ahead from a technical perspective if you wish. So, from that's a very good question, by the way, and it's a pain it's a pain every day for me. This is a great subject, but it costs money, and this is what people keep forgetting. It costs money. So when I go to my board and I say I need X, Y, and Z, the questions you get today, rather than 3 years ago, is a harder sell to get that money. It really is. We live in a very margin-conscious business globally, by the way, in every industry. Everything's margin-driven. People are scared to invest because of the economic scares at the moment. Global politics plays a big role in this as well. So to answer your question, there is no perfect answer. If I'm very, very honest, there is no perfect answer. I would love to train my entire team on AI and machine learning and GPT and all this great stuff and data center stuff. But I have to outweigh what's the priority at the moment. Is it boring CRM solution, or is it this? And when the board sees training versus CRM, they say that will make me money. And that's the challenge. And I think the skill base has to come from outside and bring it in. And I agree with this gentleman. It's trying to get people to do the learning on the job is also quite difficult because of the way we have to run the business. So I can't answer your question, I'll be honest. I really can't. I think there's an education aspect. I think there's a learning college aspect, online learning, and that sort of stuff. But the one good thing is the younger generation are willing to learn. I have to say, I've got an average age of 27 in my team, and there is a huge difference between the 40-year-old and they're both positives and negatives, by the way, don't take it wrong, they're both positive. But the younger generation, they're not scared to take a risk. That's my biggest lesson. They're not scared. The 40-year-old doesn't want to take a risk. No way, no way. The Generation Z, I'll take a risk. And that's my one lesson I've learned from these, plus they've got good taste in trainers, I have to say, the young Generation Z. So sorry to not answer your question, but it's not easy, man, just being honest.
Just something I've seen on that from the other side of the coin is, if you have a good program going on as an organization and you have a good training, initiative, educational to bring them up, you basically create your corporation as like an academy. So what will actually happen, I've seen this play out, is that people will realize people that come from corporation X are very highly trained, highly skilled, brought up, and cross-sectional. And they'll be poached first.
So just to coach it on there, that's the problem. The problem is we went through a cloud transformation very early in this region, very, very early. I think there's only one person remaining from that transformation, just to give you some context, because they've all left and they've got better jobs. That's the challenge.
Yeah, I've seen it play out a few times.
Yeah, so I'm busy with my doctorate at the moment, and I'm also doing an executive program through Wharton University of Pennsylvania, and we've got this research group that's actually doing a research right now of the UAE on this exact topic. And we had a professor from India who is running this research, and the same question came up, and we were just socializing the idea about that we believe it's probably something to do with selfishness. It's the mindset that we've had over the last couple of years that this region is temporary. It's a temporary home for all of us. So in our mind, we become selfish not to share and not to help. So this becomes actually part of a cultural problem within the region. This is why we are struggling with that question. How do we fix it? It's simple. I think it's already being fixed currently right now by bringing in longer term visas, the golden visas coming in. You're going to really see very soon, probably residencies, permanent residencies, when the taxes come in. You have to have it. It's a phenomenon that'll, it's something that, what's the right word I'm trying to say? It naturally occurs, right? But for that to happen, the mindset will also start to change, that people will stay longer, which means you will want to help build the community. It becomes a community thing, right? That you want to help each other. And this is what we are struggling with. If you think about who you look around in this room, we all come from different countries, right? How long have all of us been in the UAE? Some have been 2 years, some have been 10 years.
Some have been 40.
Yeah, some have been 40 years. But the problem is I used to always joke about it, that the UAE is like, or the Middle East is like a washing machine. And every conversation that you go to, I don't want to digest into the topic, but when you got kids, your kids struggle to find friends, because as soon as they find friends, they leave. I'm one of those guys that haven't been able to find permanent friends because they stay for very short
It's
time.
okay, I'll take your number.
But I think everyone, when you start to talk, everyone's facing the same challenge. So this becomes a community problem. And it's because of the inheritable thing that has happened in the past. And I think if we start to socialize it, which I think is happening, and we start to talk about it, and we start to address that it is a problem and we want to do something about it, and people want to stay, then it will start to happen. But it's a progression, and it's going to take a while.
I think we just have one more question over here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I have heard that you guys are running skills assessment in your organization, and people are maybe scared about, what the result will be. But I have also one other question on the side of when you run that kind of exercise, and in the meantime, there is a lot of Z generation. You touch a little bit this subject here, and in a parallel, you have a lot of off-market job as well. How you are tackling the hiring process and the seniority of organizations and people which are joining the organizations? Because if we see the market, we all have the request, from getting people senior in regards to tackling strategy, drive organizations, etc. But in the meantime, the manager level or layer is missing. How do you guys tackle those kind of questions in your current organization?
I guess
No, it's fine.
if my poetic friend wants to answer as well. It's a pain, just being honest. Again, I don't even know where to start. The Generation Z is a very different employee. You have to recognize that. This isn't a suit and tie generation. No matter how you address your culture, this is not a suit and tie generation. So we've had to adapt to them. Let them wear what they want. I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds very strange to most people, but this is an Instagram, TikTok generation. So what they wear to work, they want to film, and they want to post it. So that may sound weird to a lot of people, but that's a very important factor. The second thing is, they work hard, but they want to work from home. So you have to remember that as well. You have to change your work culture. They want 2-3 days a week at home and 2 days in the office. Now, when they're in the office, they work hard, but they want to have a good time. They want to be social because that's the next generation. So working with Generation Z has been an eye-opener for me, and I've learned a lot, actually. It's a great generation, in my opinion. They want to work hard. They're digital natives. They grew up with the internet. They grew up with iPhones, so they're very switched on. The problem is they don't last very long. The average Generation Z would last 2 years in your organization, and they move on. So these aren't long-term employees. This is a fact, not just in my company, but in any company. If another job comes and they're going to pay them X dirhams more, they won't think twice. They've gone. Thank you, Yahyah. Love you. Bye. Done. Now, the mid-managers, they have children, they have families, they have other things to think about. It's a different mindset. Again, how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them on board? But they also want to learn the new skills. And unfortunately, and I'm not speaking, sometimes people in technology don't have the best emotional intelligence skills. So that is a very important factor now. You have to have the right emotional intelligence skills and the right empathy skills with both Generation Z and mid-managers, because we live in a very switched-on, stressful world. So work-life balance is important. So I address that in 2 ways. Try and be cool, which sometimes backfires at my age and look like an idiot. But with the mid-generation is to give them flexibility to be with their families and also help them on their training path. I mean, I don't know if you see that.
Yeah, no, just the other thing I would just ever add to that is you need to have something that really attracts them. That not just being the role, what is that role? What is the plan for the business? Be transparent. Tell them, look, we're looking into AI, we're looking into zero knowledge, we're looking into the next gen tech. We see, or this role, for example, whatever role is progressing through a roadmap of A, B, C. Just be very transparent in what their path looks like. Otherwise, you will get the 2-year leavers because there's something blocking them, or there's a roadblock in front of them of someone who's been there already for 10 years, and they can't go any higher. It might be a GC, that's been there, and then you have the senior counsel and it can't go any higher. So that's just something, and then the only thing they're left to do is leave.
Actually, what I felt, and being very truthful, that pressure was on me. It was not those boys and girls to change or adapt. I have been used to a lifestyle, professional lifestyle for last 40 years, and a major part being senior positions. So I was not used to confrontation, direct confrontation, or I'm still working there till 7:30 because I belong to that generation, and guy at 4:45 flying in sort of. So these gaps started bringing pressure on the managers of my generation, and we started sort of realignment. At the same time, okay, they also learnt a lot, but they would demand that show us the roadmap of next 15 years. Baba, I don't know beyond 3 years or whatever. So challenge started coming, and plus, depending on the size of the organization, the mid-size or small-size organizations, they would think 5 times hiring a fresher. No, we have to, because very limited manpower is there, so you can't bet. Larger organizations, where many employees are there, 2,000, 2,500 on the IT side, it's fine. But there, in any case, a lot of training program and those type of requirements, come what may, the retention is a challenge. So this generation gap, okay, its gap is narrowing down, but it's there.
Keep it simple, safety for women, meaning they feel comfortable in the workplace. They don't feel they feel safe to come to work, and also freedom if they have a baby, if they have maternity, and flexible working. That's how you retain the ladies. Some of our most successful people in our company are actually single mothers, because they're driven to survive and they're driven to work hard. So I think the number one thing, though, is absolutely they must feel safe to come to work and they don't discriminated against.
Just a very last point is, I would put these both in the same column. Just for this one, it's already being addressed in a certain point, but not focused on. But it's educational point. Going early. Going to the universities early. Like you're doing with the decide we want diversity early. Don't keep aiming just like a top suite. Look to bring them through the entire journey. Yeah. And forget, like you were saying correctly, about genderifying the roles. Just go in and go, roughly, we're looking to hire this many, and just see how it works from a very, very bottom up. Entering to universities, see who's there. They may already be upskilling, but no one's talking to them. But thank you, everyone. It's been a very, very great discussion, and thank you, panelists. You've been very, very good and very, very outspoken. And I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, a round of applause for Mr. Don here, moderator, fantastic, holding us all together here and keeping this going forward. Please, panel, if you step forward, take a picture together, a group photograph. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Powell, Mr. Tewary, Mr. Pandor, and Mr. Jain here, right? A big round of applause for them. Their discussion on planning, policies, automation, and skills.